All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. And make sure you check out Pig in a Pickle. They're in Emeryville and in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Corte Madera, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and open 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday, in Emeryville, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, we're going to do a little 49er video right here, a little report card on what the Niners have gotten done thus far in free agency. And we're going to start with Javon Hargrave, who was the big signing. Hargrave gets a 4-year, $84 million contract, and I'm giving this one an A across the board for the 49ers. One, it was a huge position of need. Niners had to have a defensive tackle after the way Kinlaw played in the playoffs. It was a huge need. You can't ever do this cheaply. These defensive tackles who can rush the passer and play the run, who are healthy and are in their prime of their career and play every down, are going to cost you a lot. And so they're paying over $20 million a year for Javon Hargrave. I'm giving them an A because they take him away from the Eagles. That fills their number one need on defense, a dynamic pass rushing defensive tackle. I'm giving it an A because the man they call the grave digger commands double teams all the time. He is a regular double team command guy. I mean, he commands the double team. He's unblockable as an interior pass rusher. Just ask Jason Kelsey about him, his teammate in Philadelphia. Guy had 11 sacks last year, 10 tackles for loss. He had 16 hits on the quarterback. The number one reason I give it a straight A, not an A minus, is the durability of Hargrave. He's not only is he a great pass rusher and a big force inside, and he's been a great pass rusher going back to his college days at South Carolina State, but he's durable. He's incredibly durable. Now, knock on wood that he remains durable, but he's missed only 3 games in his entire NFL career. So Javon Hargrave coming to the 49ers, absolutely that one gets an A. All right, let's move on to number 2. Sam Darnold. I'm giving the Sam Darnold signing a B. He signs a 1-year deal for $4.5 million with incentives that could bring it up to $11.5 million. He's an underrated athlete. He's an underrated runner. He's a 6'5" quarterback with a pretty strong arm. I give him a pretty high mark of a B because he is underrated as a runner. He's a very, very motivated player. I mean, this guy's basically his career is dangling by a thread. Brock Purdy's got the surgery, the UCL surgery on the elbow. Trey Lance's development, still very much a question. How's he going to play this year? The Niners, Kyle clearly has coveted Darnold for a number of years. Darnold's coming off of maybe his best stretch as a professional. He played well down the stretch last year for the Carolina Panthers. And there's no question that at 25, he's in the physical prime of his career. So for that reason, he's in his physical prime. He's playing well. Kyle likes him. There's a need there. He's very motivated. He's really an underrated runner. The only reason I don't give it a higher grade is just Sam Darnold has never really played consistently good football. This guy turns it over. He turns it over a lot. Going back to USC, he turned it over. So just because of the turnovers and because it's somewhat of a projection, I'm going to give it a B. But when you look at what they paid for him, 1 year, $4.5 million with incentives, and you look at where he's at in his career and what kind of year he's coming off of, I think there's a very good chance the 49ers catch lightning in a bottle with Darnold. And so even though I think the signing is more like a C as far as the way he's played, I give it a B because I think the Niners may have caught lightning in a bottle with Sam Darnold. All right, let's move on to the third free agent, John Feliciano, who just recently signed this week. He's a center. He's a right guard. He played center last year for the New York Giants. He's played right guard. I'm giving this one an A. I love the Feliciano signing. 6'4", 325 pounds, tough kid, smart kid, versatile O-lineman. He can play left guard. He can play center. He can play right guard. He says his best spot is center. He's a starter. He's got 54 career NFL starts in 97 NFL games. He's a great locker room guy. He's not old. He's only 31. 4th round pick in 2015 by the Raiders out of the University of Miami. played 3 seasons in Buffalo, and then last year he started at center for the New York Giants. He fills the Daniel Brunskill role. Brunskill bailed for Tennessee in free agency. Feliciano will tell you his best position is center, but this guy's story is absolutely incredible. His mother is a 2-time cancer survivor. He's battled depression. He's battled anxiety. He lived in a trailer as a kid. His trailer was condemned in the 10th grade, and he was homeless. He was homeless for a year and a half. And yet still, he found a way to make it to the NFL, to make it to the University of Miami and make it in the NFL. He's a big video game guy. He's a huge fan of Pokemon. He's got a Pokemon tattoo. He writes rap lyrics. He's a chef. He says he makes a killer chicken parm. They call him Mongo. But what I love about him is that he's smart, he's tough, he's motivated, and his stated goal is, I want to win a ring. And I just think this is a great pickup. This covers you against Jake Brendel having any kind of a disappointing year or an injury. Covers you at right guard if Spencer Burford can't play there. It may allow you to kick Burford out to right tackle if Feliciano is the full-time starter at right guard. So I really like it. They signed him for, what is backup kind of money, but he's got a starter pedigree. And I really like the addition. I think Feliciano adds toughness, size, power, nastiness to their O-line. And that's always a good thing. So I'm going to give the Feliciano signing a straight A. I didn't think they paid him very much. I think there's a severe need. I've got questions about Burford and Brendel. Quality interior O-line depth. I love this pickup. And the fact of the matter is this guy plays for the ring. So John Feliciano gets an A. All right, let's move to Isaiah Oliver, the cornerback signed away from the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to give this a B, maybe B plus. Maybe I'd say B plus. It's right there on the cusp of a B plus. 2-year deal. He's a nickel corner. He's very good against the run. Pro Football Focus ranked Isaiah Oliver 6th in the entire NFL among all cornerbacks as a run defender. He tore his ACL in 2021, but he made a successful comeback in 2022. 2nd-round pick by the Falcons out of Colorado. Gave up only a 57% completion percentage in 2022. This is another one of those good moves where Oliver's been inconsistent. I think his play would be more like C+, but when you factor in how good he's been in the slot against the run and how the Niners plan to utilize him in that slot, Steve Wilkes knows him well from playing against him in the division with the Falcons in the Panthers division. And I'm going to give it a solid B plus grade, despite the fact that he's more of a C plus player career. He's had like a C plus career, but I'm going to give him a B plus because I think the Niners may be able to catch lightning in a bottle with Isaiah Oliver. All right, let's go on to the next one. Miles Hartsfield. I'm going to give this a B minus. Hartsfield's an interesting guy. He's 25. He's a slot corner. He's a free safety. He's a special teamer. He gets a 1-year deal. He's a depth piece. Steve Wilkes knew him from Carolina and wanted him. 5'11", 210 pounds, great athlete, played running back at times, unrestricted or undrafted free agent in 2020 out of Ole Miss. What I really love about Hartsfield, he's got big time measurables, 4.39 speed. 38.5-inch vert. He's a great athlete, and Wilkes knows how to use him. And he plays 2 positions that the Niners are desperate to improve from last year going into this year, and that's slot corner and free safety. They lost Emmanuel Mosley. They lost Jimmy Ward. They're desperate to replace these guys, most likely in the draft. But Hartsfield gives them versatility going into the draft because he can play both spots. He can play that slot corner. He can play free safety, and he's a great athlete. So I'm going to give that a B minus, just because I think Hartsfield's not a terrific player. He's more of a depth piece. But for what they paid him and his measurables at 4.39 40 and 38-inch vertical, I like those workout numbers a lot. And he's not old. And Wilkes knows him, and I think there's some value in having comfort with the guys that you put out there on the field. All right, the Niners re-signed Tayshaun Gibson. I'm going to give this a B+. He had 5 interceptions in 2022. That was the second most in the NFL. The great part about Tayshaun Gibson is the Niners have a very young secondary with a lot of first, second, and third year players. And Gibson is that veteran on the back end that if you can dial up some pressure on the quarterback, he's going to float some bad passes down the field. And Gibson's a high percentage ball hawk. He has over 30 career interceptions throughout his NFL career. So he's got a great nose for the ball. I like him better in zone than man, but the Niners use a lot of man. And Steve Wilkes almost guarantees to play a lot of cover 3. That's his rep. So that means that the free safety has to man that deep middle. It's a lot of grass to cover. But Gibson, I think, can cover it decently as far as turnovers. I don't think he's great in man-to-man, but I'm going to give it a solid B because he's a veteran that is a tone-setting culture player that will help the young players in that secondary. All right, let's move on to Kevin Givens, who was a restricted free agent. I'm going to give this a B+. He got a $2 million deal. He's a good interior pass rusher. If this guy played more, he would have gotten paid a lot. He's not great against the run. You can move him against the run, but man, he is a tremendous interior pass rusher. And when you look at the kind of money that the top tier interior rushers are getting in the free agent market, to get him to come back for $2 million is a freaking steal. So I'll take Kevin Givens as a restricted free agent back, and I'll give that a B+. Jake Brendel was re-signed. I'm going to give that one a B-. Pro Bowl alternate in 2022 at center. Brendel is a very dependable player. Now, there are stronger centers, but as far as, he makes the right decisions. He's got good instincts. He fits on this line. He's a leader in this locker room. I like it for a lot of reasons. I thought there was a very good chance he would have left because he would have been overpaid in free agency coming off the Pro Bowl alternate season, but they get him back. So he's a little undersized, but he's healthy. He's motivated. The Niners took him from their own practice squad and built him into a starter, and they got something nice. And I think getting him back was a smart move. All right, let's move on to Clelin Ferrell. I'm giving this move a C-. This guy was the number 4 pick in overall by the Raiders in 2019. He doesn't give you much as an edge rusher. He's got 10 total sacks in 4 seasons. He doesn't get after the quarterback. He doesn't have speed to get to the edge. He doesn't have agility to flatten to the quarterback. He's far better against the run than the pass. Now, the Niners are likely to use him as a rundown defender and also maybe as an interior rusher in their 4 defensive end alignment. And I think there's some potential for Ferrell to actually do some really good things. The 2 advantages that Clelin Ferrell has, he can play that defensive tackle position, I think, is good or better than the other Niner defensive ends have done it last year. Better than Drake, better than Ebukam, better than Menahue even, who was a big-bodied guy. I think Ferrell can stand in against the run, and I think you could play him inside at times. And the motor is undeniable. He's always had a great motor. This guy plays hard. So that's the one thing about playing for Chris Kocurek is that, you got to have the motor. The motor's a must. And Ferrell does have a high revving motor, but he hasn't gotten a lot done as a pass rusher. The sacks he has gotten are more because of coverage sacks than anything he did. So I'm going to give it a C-, just because I think, if you really are going to go from Jordan Willis, Samson Ebukam, and Charles Menahue to Clelin Ferrell, that's a step down. And I love the motor and I love the ability to play the run, but he's an edge rusher and he doesn't get to the edge or rush the quarterback with a lot of ferocity or consistency. So I'll give it a C-. I think he'll be solid in a rotation against the run, but if you need him to get after the passer, you're going to be in a world of hurt. All right, T.Y. McGill re-signed. I'm going to give this one a B. The one thing about McGill is he's super underrated. He's floated around. He's been on 9 or 10 teams, but he as well has a tremendous motor, very good smarts, and he's got the quickness to knife into the backfield and bring down ball carriers or quarterbacks for losses or sacks. And I like the motor of McGill and the combination of the motor and the quickness and the film study. The guy watches his film. I interviewed him 2 or 3 times this year, sharp as a tack. The motor you can't teach. The quickness you can't teach. So, I mean, T.Y. McGill, did not think anything of T.Y. McGill when I first heard he came to the Niners. But then watching him play, you can see the production, you can see the motor, you can see the football IQ, you can see the quickness. It's all there. So I'm going to give that re-signing a B. All right, Ross Dwelley was re-signed. I'm going to give this one a C minus. I don't see what Dwelley really does well. He's a poor blocker. You know, he's got good hands as a receiver, but he's really just a special teamer. He's already played 5 seasons with the Niners, so re-signing him is a good move continuity-wise. But I think this is a guy, he doesn't gain separation as a receiver, and he's not a strong inline blocker. I think he's really going to struggle to make the 53-man roster. He's a good kid, University of San Diego, has built up his body. He's got great hands, good route runner. He's just not what you want as a dynamic receiver, and he's not what you want as an inline blocker. So I got to give that one a C minus. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles also re-signed, the linebacker special teamer. I'm going to say C plus here. He gets a 1-year deal. He was a college safety at U of A. He's going to compete with Marcelino McCrary-Ball to start at strong side linebacker. He's a smart player. He's a very accountable player, which I really love. He was 5th in the NFL in special teams tackles with 15. So I'm going to give it a C, but, you know, he's still a very solid special team player and a good locker room guy and a high character player. He hits like a truck at times. He's good in coverage. There's a lot to like about Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, but I think it's just a middle of the road pickup, so I'll give it a C. As far as the free agent departures, Mike McGlinchey goes to Denver. I don't think it's a huge loss. I think, you know, he was definitely overpaid. Azeez Al-Shaair is a tremendous player. He goes to Tennessee and joins Rand Carthon. As much as I love Azeez, and I do, and I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker, the Niners go with a kind of a 5-2 look with 2 stack backers, and he's stack backer number 3. So I don't think there's going to be a dramatic step down from Al-Shaair to McCrary-Ball. So even though I think they'll miss Al-Shaair, McCrary-Ball is going to step in and play just fine. The real loss in the free agent departures, and why I'd have to give the Niners kind of a C or a D on the departures, is Jordan Willis, Samson Ebukam, and Charles Omenihu. 3 edge rushers, all in the prime of their career, all who played significant roles on this defensive line, all left. Willis is now a Raider. Ebukam went on to the Colts. Omenihu signed with the Chiefs. I thought there was a very good chance they could get one of those guys signed. Instead, they couldn't get any of them signed. And now edge rusher becomes a primary need in the draft. So overall, I'd say free agent departures, C minus, D plus, simply because you let all 3 of those edge rushers in their prime all get out the door, and you really didn't replace them with much. I know once you paid Hargrave, there was going to be some give and take, and somebody had to go. But now the 49ers go into the late free agency period and the draft needing to find, I would say, 2 or 3 viable defensive ends that can play right away. And that's going to be a challenge. It's a good defensive end draft, but it's a technique-rich position. And it's very, very rare that a player steps right out of the college game and is ready to contribute as a defensive end in the NFL. So it's going to take Chris Krueger to coach him up. And they're going to have a good eye. They're going to have to pick the right defensive ends in the draft. And then they're going to have to coach them up fast because whatever guys they get in at the end of free agency or in the draft at defensive end, those guys are going to be playing this year. They're going to be playing in a rotation. So it's really imperative that they get them coached up. All right. Hope you enjoyed the 49er video on grading out their free agent class, the comings and goings. And thank you to Pig and a Pickle, our title sponsor. Check them out in Corte Madera Wednesday through Sunday. They're open 7 days a week, or I should say in Emeryville Wednesday through Sunday, 7 days a week in Corte Madera. They open at 11 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. The best barbecue in all of Northern California. Try it for yourself. You'll be a fan for life. Check out Pig and a Pickle. And, of course, keep it locked on the Krueg Show for all your 49er coverage all year long right here on YouTube.